Hello and welcome to Odd Sock Comics. This is my first video in a couple of weeks. I've been traveling and was not able to get much done on the recording side. Was away for 2 full weeks across the country to the west and then across back to the east and all over the place. So wasn't able to share much, but I have 2 weeks of new comic books here that I wanted to talk about. And then while I was traveling across the country, I stopped at many comic shops and I have a bit to share about some things that I found there. So this is actually a really big haul. Because it's going to be so big, I need to get right into it. So I'm going to start out with my favorite book that I've read in the last couple of weeks. And that is Walmite First Term Part 2. This is an Indiegogo book that you could only pick up if you ordered it on Indiegogo. It was a very short campaign. I think they only sold about 750 copies or something like that. Sold out very quickly as well and was fulfilled within a month or two. Very, very fast, very professional guys, the guys that put this together. Now, so this is Timothy Lim and I think it's Mark Pellegrini that made this book. And I've met them both in person, and they are some of the best guys around. I was reading one book with my son, and commented on it on Twitter that my son absolutely loved one of their books. And they sent me a message back and said, "Oh, really? We'll send him something. What's your address?" And so I sent them my address, but they said, "Oh, we'll send him this book." And I was like, "Well, I've already got that book because I have most of their books." And so they said, "I got just the thing." And they sent me a cover sketch of Spider-Man with a Timothy Lim cover on it, and he had sketched for my son, and it says, to my son's name, "Keep reading comics." Just the coolest thing. My son's got it up on his wall. It's keeping him interested in comic books. I love these guys, and this book is just. I mean, first of all, this is some production value here. So I don't know if you can quite see it, but. Look at that shine. That's fancy stuff. This is just absolutely perfectly bound. I think it's probably... the envelope came from Antarctic Press, which is where most of their books are printed. And they may print this eventually through Antarctic Press. Probably not in this quality, because I'm sure this was expensive to print. But the book is just funny. Whether you are a Trump fan or you hate him. If you hate him, you're going to have trouble, because it obviously puts him in a heroic light, which is obnoxious, the same way that people who don't like AOC would get frustrated with that AOC comic book. But if you just appreciate it for the comedy of it, it's hilarious. Like this one, the judicial, legislative, executive, they're going to come together and form the... What is it? Oh, the Triple Branch Strike. Uncle Sam! This kind of stuff is just absolutely hilarious, and there's so much wit and creativity and play with language and play on pop culture themes, and it's just absolutely hilarious. One of the very relevant, and this happened a couple of weeks before before a recent announcement, is they said this one. She changed her hair from red to blonde, and she says, "I don't mind losing the red hair. It just means Hollywood can't recast me with Zendaya or Leslie Jones or someone else." This happened after Ariel was recast as a black woman, which, whether you have concerns with that or not, it is a trend. It's an interesting one to pop out. They called it out before that had happened, and then when that happened, it was like, oh man, these guys, they can really interpret pop culture in a way that nobody else is doing. Just for the comedy's sake, for all of the little Easter eggs and the hilarity of it all. If you like Marvel, or if you don't like Marvel and you actively dislike it, this makes fun of it in a good way. If you like Trump, you'll enjoy it. If you don't like Trump and you can get past it, the humor is still there, the political humor is still there. It's not all ripping on Democrats or anything like that. There's some play all the way across. Fantastic read. If you didn't order it on Indiegogo, I'm not sure how you can get a hold of it. Personally, I would never sell this book. It's going into my political collection. I've got a little set of maybe 20 or 30 books, and this one's going in there. I love it. So that was a really fun book. That was my favorite book. All right, moving on, we'll get to a couple of independents from another bunch of really awesome independent guys. This is Punchline number 7. Still just a good story. I love these guys. They're treating this book, it can't be making them much money, but they're treating it as a labor of love. They're telling a full story. They're getting it done, and they're doing it in a really quality way. The art is very, very good. The storytelling is top tier. This could be a Marvel book. These guys are great. Definitely worth reading. If you're not picking it up, it's worth grabbing. You might have to request it. Like I was talking to a couple of shop owners this week, and they said if one person requests it, they'll order it for that one person. If 2 people request it, they may buy one extra for the shelf just to see if it goes one time, and if it doesn't, then they won't order it again. And I think that's the way that a lot of shop owners work. So your shop may not be ordering this because there's not a lot of demand, but the book is good. It's about superheroes transitioning their powers to like the next generation, and some of the stuff that goes up with their lives and how they keep things hidden from each other. A lot of relationship stuff, a lot of character stuff, as well as really good action and some really fun other people coming in line. So great book. All right, next up, I was able to snag Reaver. This was one that was kind of I was looking out for it. I intended to get it. I went into the shop when I got back from my travel for 2 weeks, grabbed my pull list. It wasn't in there. I actually bought everything, walked out of the shop, and then I was thinking through a couple of things. And I was like, oh shoot, there was that image book that I was going to grab. Ran back in. Luckily, they had a copy available. I've heard that this one's hard to get a hold of, so I'm glad that I was able to get it off the shelf. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have read it. Very interesting book. It's kind of Suicide Squad set in a fantasy world. Pretty interesting, even the way that it is Suicide Squad set in a fantasy world, but the way that they implemented the kind of Suicide Squad, if you fail, we'll kill you, or something like that. That's kind of a creative, interesting way that they did that. So, fun book. I think it's going to be interesting. I will keep reading this one, which I pick up some independent first issues to see if the story grabs me. This one did. I will read it. Also, that cover is beautiful. All right, next up, and I just finished reading this, and I loved it, Savage Adventures. This is just bloody, interesting. It's all of my favorite kind of dark characters. I don't usually like team books. This one is building the team, and it's been building the team for 3 issues, and they're still not a team. They're all just in the same place. So for some reason, that's working for me right now. I don't usually like team books, but just really enjoy it. I like Conan, obviously. I like Venom. I'm not really familiar with Punisher or Elektra, but they show up in this. Let's see, I don't know Voodoo at all. Wolverine, of course, is most popular comic book character probably. So all around, this one's just a fun story. Very bloody, very perilous. Creates that peril that you need for a good superhero story. So looking forward to the continuation of this one. All right, next up, and I'm doing just my Marvel books next. I'm not doing these in order from week to week because honestly, I don't know which ones came from 2 weeks ago, which ones came from this week. So I just mixed them all together. I just had to read them all. So next up is Immortal Hulk number 20. This one was all right. It progresses the story. It explains a little bit, digs into a little bit of backstory as well. It was fine. I don't know, not much else to say. I don't think it's as strong as some of the previous Immortal Hulk, but you have to have a softer issue here and there. There was still plenty of action, so yeah, still going with that one. Next up, Venom number 16. This one, too, was fine. Nothing really exceptional in it. It was okay. Looking forward to the continuation of the story. I'm trying to remember. I remember the story, and I'm trying to not tell the story. He's got to take care of his son, who he hasn't told is his son yet. He's got to go make some money. He's trying to deal with this situation where he doesn't have the symbiote and address what that means to him. Pretty interesting stuff, pretty character-driven stuff. And then there's a big scene of massive action that was pretty cool. And it's definitely leading into Absolute Carnage in a way that you can tell. Looking forward to... I can't tell if I'm looking forward to Absolute Carnage or if I feel like it's going to be an overburdened event. I'll still read it. This has been fun enough, and because I'm tied into this, Absolute Carnage makes sense for me. All right, now on to DC. First up, I've got Deceased #3. This is the movie poster homage. This is The Nun, which is fairly recent. I haven't seen it. I'm not interested in it, but I'm going to get all of the movie poster homage versions of this series. That'll be fun. All Your Superheroes Are Dead or Zombies. Pretty fun. Trying to figure out what to do. I have a hard time with these 6-issue series. You get 3 issues in and there's no story progression. It's all just build up to here, and I think that they end up resolving it in when it starts out in this sequence. I feel like they resolve it very quickly in issue 6, and there's not the story arc doesn't fit the time frame that they've allowed. It's like it should be a 12, or they should push what they pushed into the first 3 into 1 or 2. So I don't know. It just, maybe that's just the way that comic books work, but I kind of feel like the story arc, it's going to come to a crashing conclusion at the end that happens too fast, and they have to resolve things too quickly. I'm not looking forward to that. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Maybe this is Tom Taylor, right? Maybe Tom Taylor can handle it better than I suspect, but we'll see. Next up, Batman and the Outsiders. Definitely my favorite Batman book. This one was interesting. It's digging into the character of the Signal, Duke, which I really liked. You've got Lightning being a team man, Batman developing this team. Very cool. I like this one. I am so close. I think I'm going to stop. I've made the call, and I'm going to stop getting Detective Comics, and I'm going to get just this one and Batman. I'm sticking with Batman because I've been with it, and that's kind of a bad thing because that means that they'll keep putting in crappy writers because they know that people will buy it. But still, we'll get to that in just a minute because the next up is Batman #74. And while I was reading this one, I figured out what I don't like about what's going on with Tom King's writing. So I was reading, and I've had to read pretty quickly because I had a lot of books to get through. And I noticed as I was reading that I couldn't tell who was talking. Everybody talks in the same way. And that's bad, but that's not a deal breaker. You know, you can look to the arrows and separate things out and everything, and a lot of people do talk the same, so not a big deal. But then I realized that it didn't matter who was talking. The story is just talk with a little bit of, movement happening below it. It's just doesn't matter who was saying what. It's just talking about ideas in this strange way that Tom King likes to do. If you like that, great, but that doesn't seem like it's in a top tier Batman book. It just doesn't fit. I'm looking forward to moving on with Tom King's storyline. All right, and my final book. Oh no, I've got 2 others, but my final book that I read was Green Lantern #9. So I'm 9 issues into this. I would absolutely love the interior art. So this cover is Liam Sharp, and he kind of went with that same style inside. Now I'm pulling this one out because this one is so worth it. You open up and just boom, like there's not. I don't know of other books that are like this that are out right now, and it's just. Every panel, every page is detailed and fun and interesting. The art is incredible. And that's the way that this whole series has been. And I like it for that reason. However, I'm just not getting the story. I'm not I don't like these big space campaigns, and that doesn't click with me. So I think I'm going to stop, unfortunately. I love Liam Sharp. I hope he gets another good book coming up soon. I'm kind of burnt out on this one. I don't think I'm going to go forward with it anymore. I may give #10 a try just because 10's a good round number, but I'm pretty much done there. All right, next up, I have the 2 covers that I picked up. Number 1 is Catwoman #13, Artgerm cover, and the other is Arrow #1, Artgerm cover. These will go right into the collection, if you didn't guess that I'd pick these up. I think they're both really good. This is Artgerm's classic style. I'm sure that he was happy drawing in the Asian style that he started with. I like the texture on this one. It's good. Still very happy with the way that Artgerm's putting out covers. It seems like he is not sacrificing quality at all. So I like that. All right, so that is it for new books that I bought. And now I'm going to get into the books that I bought from shops. So I went to a bunch of shops. So let me just walk through some of the cities. So first I went to Santa Fe. I'm going to put some books out here just so you can see. So first I went to Santa Fe, and there was only one shop in the center of Santa Fe. And so we parked next to the shop, walked to the shop, and then we walked out to, kind of see the city, the old plaza and all that kind of stuff. The shop had nothing old, didn't really have great new books, was kind of a hipster shop more than a comic book shop. I kind of hate to say that because maybe that's your shop and you absolutely love it. But, it's like a shop starting out. It doesn't have a bunch of back stuff. It's like he had mostly 2000s books, maybe a few 90s books, but he didn't have any of those old collections. And in my mind, if you're a dealer, you kind of have to get it. You have to at least have access to something old, something interesting to make a shop worthwhile. Unless you're a pure pop culture shop where you're just putting the books out that people are buying this week. But anyway, that's beside the point. I actually bought 0 from that shop. Went in, looked around, and was basically done. Which is okay. Some shops are good, some shops aren't. Then I went up to Utah to a shop called Dr. Volt's Comic Connection, something like that. And that one actually bought some stuff. He had some great books behind the counter, and then he had some back issues that were kind of cover price-ish, and then he had a couple of boxes of a $2 bin basically. And I picked up all of these out of the $2 bin. Now I'm going to go through them because to me this is a good deal. So first up we have a first printing of Batman number 24. Now, this is the proposal. The first printing was the one that was kind of a surprise and had not a low print run, but it wasn't obvious on there. And definitely first printing. And I got this for $2. Now it's gone for $25 at some points. It fell down to about 10 maybe, but it's definitely a $10 book. Got it for $2. Happy about that one. Then I kind of made up my mind about one approach that I'm going to be using when I dig through dollar bins and stuff. And that is that if I ever see Adam Hughes or Artgerm in a $1 bin or a $2 bin or whatever discount bins, I'm going to buy them. So I already have these books. I think that they're pretty good. I've got to compare them to my copies because I think that the copy of this book is better than the one that I have, and possibly this one as well. I'm going to have to look a little closer. It's hard. This one's in a bag inside that bag and looks a little funny. But, I got 3 Adam Hughes covers, $2 each. I don't know. A couple of them were worth maybe $2. One of these, I think it's this one, is a more sought after copy of the book. And they're beautiful covers. I like them. This isn't just, I got them because they're Adam Hughes. I mean, beautiful women done in a beautiful way. That's fantastic. So got those 3, and then I got one other book from that shop for $2, Thor God of Thunder number 14. Not anything really special about this, but I've kind of decided that I'm going to be picking up the entire run of Thor God of Thunder, and so when I find an issue that I'm missing in a $1 bin or a $2 bin, I'll pick it up. I'm not going to pay cover price for them, but it's something to keep my hunts worthwhile. All right, so that was one shop. Okay, next, I didn't go to any other shops there, but next I went out to New York, and I was in upstate New York. Now this is where things got really, really good. I've decided that I love upstate New York for comic book hunting. If you haven't been up there, or if you live up there, man, that was great. So first I went into a shop. I'm not going to tell you what shops these were, but they were in upstate New York. You can piece that together. But I spent a long time talking to the shop owner, and he was awesome, and it was great to talk to him about how the industry's doing. He was concerned about speculation. I agree with him, but he said that people are coming in kind of asking for what books are going to be big, and that's not a sustainable business. So it was interesting to talk to him. But I picked up another Adam Hughes cover, I think for $2 out of one of his bins. And then I got 2 books that I paid a little bit more for. And these are Ms. Marvel number 20, which I believe is her first issue in the black outfit, which was one that I always wanted to get. And then I got Ms. Marvel number 15, which is just a piece of that run, and I got this for relatively inexpensive. So, and I think that Ms. Marvel is another one. That first copy that goes to 21 or 23. I can't remember how many issues it is. But I think I'm going to get that first run, book 1 and forward. I've already got a third of it and most of the most expensive books. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and, as I have the option, pick up the rest of the books in that run. I think that'll be a fun one to collect. So that one was a really fun shop to look through. I had quite a bit of time, well organized, but yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, then I found one of the favorite shops that I've ever been into. So this shop was just an absolute chaotic mess. There were attempts to organize out on the floor. I'll put a couple of these up just to show you what I got. But there were attempts to organize things, but there were rows of long boxes, and then there were books that were out laying on top of the long boxes. You had to move things around to sort through everything. And it was just not really possible to find anything in any way that you were looking, which meant that it was all about hunting. Now, I looked through some of the books that were up in the front. I found 1 or 2 that I liked. I think I found this one up in the front of the store. But I asked the owner, I was like, okay, so obviously your store isn't very well organized. If you wanted to dig in and find something interesting, where would you go? He said, how much time do you have? And I said, well, I've got an hour. I've got a call coming up in an hour. So I can dig in pretty deep. He takes me to a back room. And in this back room, it's just walls of long boxes. They're not organized at all. He said they're all labeled as either DC, Marvel, or Independent. But other than that, he doesn't know what's in them. And have at it. They're not priced, but he said if it seems like something valuable, he'll look up the value on eBay and give me a good discount. But most of the time, he'll just count the books and kind of give it a feel. And if I'm okay with it, that's what he'll do. For me, that is perfect. I would prefer if he just said, yeah, buy any books you want. They're $2 a piece, or make me an offer. That's even a little bit better. But this was just fine. So I spent an hour back there. I had a call in an hour, and after about 30 minutes, I got another call, and I'm just searching through comic books while I'm on this call. And then it came up and bumped into my next call, which I had to start while I was back there. So I spent another full hour back there on the phone looking through comic books. So it was fantastic. I was doing work, actually really productive work on the phone, making money at my real job while digging through comic books. It was about the best possible way I could spend my day. Lovely time. So anyway, I picked up these DC Bombshells. I love the style. I love pinup. I love 40s and 50s. Just gorgeous. Love it. They may not be worth anything to me. They're awesome. I want a collection like this. I want to stick them up on my wall here and there and have that as one of the collections that pops up from time to time. So beautiful, those two. Next up, I found a box where he had, it wasn't a full run of Spawn, but it was close. And so I picked up just some really cool Spawn covers that I saw. Now, I did a little bit of searching to kind of see, like, you know, if he tries to charge me $5 a piece, am I going to walk out of here okay? And for the most part, the covers that I saw, that I grabbed, were worth plenty more than $5. And so I was like, okay. And they're just cool. So I just picked out cool ones that made sense. But let's see, I don't even know the numbers. 97, 63, 130, 77. That 77 is so cool. Yeah, very happy about that. Some good Capullo. Great stuff. All right, and you can see what's coming up next. I found an an Adam Hughes that I was completely unfamiliar with. Rose Thorn, this was just in a box somewhere, and I also found a Wonder Woman. So I picked up the Adam Hughes that I find in the box. He gave me a very good deal on them. He did recognize them as Adam Hughes, and kind of said, "Oh, good find," but that was fun. So the next piece I picked up was She-Hulk number 43, and these are these funny ones where she's talking to the cover, and then She-Hulk number 44, which is a response to that one. I find this hilarious. So in the first one, she's saying the cover has nothing to do with the story, but she's doing it to sell the book. And the second one, sorry guys, the powers that be say I've been pushing it on my past covers, so all you get is this month. That's just comedy. I love this. This is when you could joke about things. That's fantastic. So I love those two issues together. Okay, I found a couple of Zatanna covers. So the first one was Harley's Little Black Book featuring Zatanna. And the second one was good old 1980s Zatanna, the costume that nobody remembers or recognizes. DC Comics presents number 18, Superman and Zatanna. So I like this one, and this was cool to find in the wild. I saw he had a bunch of the DC Comics presents in one of the boxes. I just went through them. They were loose. They were not in bags or anything, but it turns out to be in pretty good condition. I mean, nothing special, and it's not a valuable comic to begin with, but I'm always happy when you find a book like that, just go with it. All right, next up, this was just a fun Betty and Veronica, nothing special about it. And then I picked up Thanos number 5, which is one of the copies in that run that I don't have. I never had issue 5. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 through 18. Don't have 5, 6, 7, 8. So, cool to find a number 5. In the wild, just loose. So that was it for that shop. That was, I think, 14 books, and he charged me $40. And then I said, we had a conversation, and I said, yeah, I'll give you 5 more than that. And so I gave him 45 because I had a $5 in my hand. So I spent 45 total, which I think works out to $3.21 or so per book. Yeah, a lot of good books there. Okay, and then the last shop I went to, also this is in upstate New York, he had another set of $2 bins, and it was a great shop. He had Fantastic Four 48, he had Hulk 181, I think he had 2 copies of Hulk 181. Really cool shop in a really small town. Whew. And it was pretty small, but he had these $2 bins across the back wall on the floor, and I just looked through a couple of them, and I was really surprised by what I found. So number 1, picked up another Bombshell type cover. This one isn't actually Bombshell. Doesn't say Bombshell anywhere on it, but it's obvious, that 1940s style that I love. And then I picked up 2 Artgerm covers, Batgirl number 11 and 12 from the New 52. And then I picked up 3 Adam Hughes covers from his Catwoman run. And he had a whole bunch more of the Catwoman run, and I would have loved to have picked them up. They were all going to be $2, so I paid $2 a piece for each of these. They were all going to be $2, which is a fantastic steal on these things. But by this point, my bag was completely full. I mean, I had all of these packed inside of a bag, so I was just too packed. I had to be selective about what I took. I've always liked this cover. I know that it's not the most valuable one, but I like the lighting. I like the way that globe shines out. So just always liked this one. The other 2 are a little bit more, Catwoman centric. That one's pretty cleavagey, which is one of the things that this run of Adam Hughes is known for, but this one is really cool, blending into the shadow. So I like that run, and those are the books that I picked up. So, and those were $2 a piece for those 6 that I bought from that last shop. And I wish I could have spent more time. I wish I'd had more space. I don't know when the next time I go to New York is going to be, but if I am back in that area, I will definitely be heading back to especially that shop. The 2 shops, the one where I bought the 14 books as well. So I'm going to go back to the book that I opened this all up with. This is Walmart. Again, just a fantastic book. I'm all caught up on my reading for those new books. I've got a couple of things that I still need to read that I may get to tonight because I've got a little bit of time to take care of things. But that's all I wanted to share today. Really big haul, really fun books. I'm gonna have to look through these and sort them. That's gonna be a big project that I'm working on in the next little while still trying to keep up on my reading and working full time. That's a lot of stuff to do. But anyway, that's what I've got today. Really fun trip. A lot of comic books involved in it. Let's see, I have one comic convention coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm looking forward to. And I'll be picking up a couple of things there. I'll see if I can find the last 2 books on my list. And I've added, in my mind at least, I've added one more book to that list. So this has all been a very good time. Thank you for walking through that. Let me know what you think of the books that I got. Let me know if you recognize the shops that I'm talking about. That would be really cool. If you're like, yeah, you can email me or you can leave it down below. I don't think anybody cares if you shout out their shop. But everyone would like some good customers to come in and treat them well and spend some money. But that's all I've got for this week. Thanks for watching, and yeah, hope you had a good week.